So, Denny, we have a big tax bill. whether it's beautiful or not, people can debate, they can love it, they can hate it, but we have some new tax rules that we as taxpayers need to understand if we are not going to get ripped off by the IRS, or at least pay more than we want to pay, more than we have to pay to the IRS. So
and let's face it, all of these bills and whatnot have good, bad, and ugly.
No question. Yeah, and this bill is certainly big, if nothing else. It was like 940 pages long. There are a lot of changes in it. Some of them very like niche and esoteric. Some of them have gotten all kinds of splashy press.
So you read all 900?
Oh yeah, all 940 pages. How do you think I've slept so well the last few nights? Yeah, it'll put you right to sleep. But yeah, I mean, as real estate investors, we thought it would be useful to just walk through a couple of the big changes in the bill, or at least the broad changes that affect real estate investors. So, Danny, you ready to walk through these 4 changes, super high level?
Yes.
All right, let's do it. So the first one and the biggest one affecting real estate investors is 100% bonus depreciation is back. So you guys probably remember the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017, which was Trump's, in his first term, that was his signature legislation that he really championed in Congress. That created 100% bonus depreciation for a certain amount of time. And it meant that real estate investors could write off 100% of the depreciation of buildings that they invested in year one that they bought those buildings. So in the same year that they bought those buildings, in that tax year, they could write off 100% of the depreciation rather than having to spread out that depreciation over 27 and a half years in the case of residential properties and 39 years in the case of commercially zoned properties or commercial properties. So that has been phasing out. That was part of that Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, is that bonus depreciation would phase down over the course of several years, with the amount that you could write off in year one dropping by 20% a year for the past few years. For 2025, that was at 40%. In 2026, it was scheduled to become 20%. And then after that, it would phase out entirely. So this bill, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, has made that 100% bonus depreciation permanent. So real estate investors can write off 100% of the depreciation in the first year. It's a huge tax benefit, especially for passive real estate investors. Denny, this is stuff that you and I, we do all the time in the Co-Investing Club. So for anyone who doesn't know, Denny and I run an investment club where we get together every month. We vet a new hands-off real estate investment, and we go in on that investment together. Each person can invest a relatively small amount, $5,000 or more, as opposed to the typical $50,000, $100,000 that you would need for a private equity real estate investment. And a lot of these, not all of them are private equity real estate, but a lot of them are. And a lot of these are syndications where you do get to take a big write-off up front from that depreciation.
Which is helpful to quite a many.
Oh yeah, it's a great tax benefit, no question. So this is very useful for us. We get to show a big loss on our tax returns, which can offset other passive gains from investments. You can't use it to offset active income like your W-2 job. You can use it to offset capital gains or dividend income or other types of investment gains or investment income, returns, basically. So one final comment that I'll make here before I pass it over to you, Denny. This makes the strategy that you and I use quite a bit, Denny, of the lazy 1031 exchange. This makes this that much more powerful. So most people aren't familiar with that term, so we'll break it down really quickly. Lazy 1031 exchange is that if you invest in passive real estate syndications or other passive real estate investments where you get a big profit at the end, and then you have to pay capital gains tax and maybe depreciation recapture. So you get stuck with a big tax bill at the end. The lazy 1031 exchange is you go out and you take your profits and you just reinvest them in a new investment. And then that depreciation that you get up front from that, a big tax write-off up front, will offset your gains from the last one. So instead of the traditional 1031 exchange where you're buying actual properties.
And it takes like 10 million years to get in effect.
Yeah, 1031 exchanges, they're kind of a pain in the ass. I mean, you have to go through a qualified intermediary who you have to pay, by the way. I mean, they don't work for free. You have to pay them a fee, and you have to declare within 45 days of selling your old property, up to 3 new replacement properties you're going to put the money towards, and then you have to close on one of those properties within 180 days of selling the old property. And there's just a lot of red tape and rules and expenses. So anyway, lazy 1031 exchange, you don't do any of that stuff. You just invest in a new passive real estate investment, typically a real estate syndication, in the same calendar year that an old one closed out. And the depreciation and losses that you show on paper for the new one offsets your gains from the old one. That's simple. And it's a really powerful strategy that I personally use. And this, 100% bonus depreciation makes it that much more effective. So anyway, I've talked a lot. Denny, any thoughts that you have on bonus depreciation?
I mean, obviously, I think this is going to be good for those who invest in real estate. I mean, it's big time to me. And I know a lot of people look at this. I won't call it that, what I was calling it before, Brian.
Hey, why not? Why not? We're all friends here.
A lot of people look at this one big, beautiful bill, and they look at it and they see a lot of the negatives. So if you look on social media, you'll see a lot of the negative. And I'm sure there is some that are going to affect people that way. But this particular one definitely helps the real estate investors. And let's face it, that's positive.
Yeah. So, the bottom line with any changes to the tax rules or tax laws, there's going to be winners and losers, right? And we all have opinions about this bill, positive, negative, whatever, it doesn't matter. But one of the politically neutral things that we can say is that real estate investors do come out ahead as winners as a result of these tax changes. So we can leave it there. But one final thought there is that there's another way that properties can qualify, that certain manufacturing and industrial properties can qualify for some additional or a separate way of qualifying for bonus depreciation is through the qualified production property rule. That's temporary. That's not permanent. That's through 2030, but something to look at if you invest primarily in industrial real estate.
And how does that?
Honestly, that's above my pay grade.
Okay.
So yeah, we're not going to get into any of the details of any of these changes. We're going to keep it pretty high level, but we're going to highlight a few of these tax changes so that you can then go and research them yourself if you want to take a closer look. So second way that the One Big Beautiful Bill Act affects real estate investors is it renews that qualified opportunity zone rule. So back in the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017, it created what was called qualified opportunity zones. And this was primarily a way for wealthy investors to defer indefinitely their capital gains taxes on investments. And they had to hold them for 10 years. And these are investments in low-income areas, typically where the states are trying to spur investment and incentivize investment in these areas that, based on market forces, no one really wants to invest in, but they want to, incentivize people to invest in these areas and, have more economic investment in low income areas. So that's how qualified opportunity zones were born. They created sort of 1 10-year period for that in the original bill back in 2017. This bill, again, makes that permanent on a rotating 10-year cycle, which starts next year in 2026. And each state they identify their own qualified opportunity zones.
So it's important for everybody to make sure, if that's what you're looking for, to make sure that it is in one of those areas. And you can do searches and find that.
Yeah, and if you invest passively in these, so in the Co-Investing Club, we've never invested in a qualified opportunity zone deal, but they are out there. And there's going to be a lot more of them out there starting next year. So the way it works is if you hold the investment for 10 years, there's no capital gains tax on that investment, after that 10-year period when it wraps up or whenever it does wrap up. the new law does create a 5-year rule as well. So if you hold the investment for at least 5 years, you get a 10% reduction in your capital gains tax. The way that works is that it bumps up your cost basis by 10%, basically. So you end up paying less capital gains tax on it. Yeah, Denny, any final thoughts on qualified opportunity zones?
No, I just think that that's a positive, definitely. And I think that helps both sides of the, you know, whatever, because there will be more opportunity zones, I believe, as time goes on, which makes this will make investors more apt to invest in those areas.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's a great idea. The jury's still out on how effective it will be, but it is a nice idea. Incentivizing financial investment in lower income areas that can often be blighted, right? And which normally don't see much, if any, investment. So anyway,
and I just wouldn't you say in this time that we're in right now, and even in our investment club, there have been a few new investments that have been on not like low income, but definitely not your, I forget which class they are, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, so we've actually made a lot of investments in affordable housing and workforce housing in the co-investing club. Apartment complexes that serve people in that like solid working to middle class, cops, firefighters, teachers, that sort of workforce housing. And actually that ties into the third change, the third tax change in this bill is an expansion to LIHTC. LIHTC is low income housing tax credits. So, and in the co-investing club, we have invested in at least one LIHTC property that comes to mind, maybe two.
Yeah, I think it is too.
Yeah. So the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, it lifts the credit ceiling, the cap on LIHTC credits that states can give out. And it eases some of the requirements for how properties can qualify for LIHTC, at least as far as how they're financed. It makes it easier for them to qualify based on financing from tax-exempt bonds, which was kind of a quirk of the original LIHTC rules. So anyway, it expands LIHTC and allows states to give out more of those property credits every year, at least, from 2026 to 2029. Now that does expire at the end of 2029. That's worth pointing out. So this is not a permanent change.
Or immediate.
Yeah. So this is, again, it's a way to incentivize investment in affordable housing and low income housing, which is great. I like you said, Denny, that's not really a left or right thing. It's something that I think everyone across the political spectrum acknowledges that in certain parts of this country, we do have an affordable housing problem. So, tax rules that incentivize investment in low income housing is a good thing.
Absolutely. So what is our last one?
All right. So the fourth one is higher taxes on foreign investors in U.S. real estate from some countries, not all countries. So this is a trade negotiating tactic by the Trump administration. So the administration has a list of countries that they have designated as having, quote, discriminatory, or that they label as discriminatory foreign countries that puts unfair extra taxes on either U.S. citizens or U.S. companies doing business in those countries. So as sort of a negotiating tactic for better trade deals with these countries and better, more favorable taxation on U.S. businesses, they are putting extra taxes on investment income from foreigners from those countries who invest in U.S. real estate and other U.S.-based investments. Now, we're not going to read the entire list of countries. It's kind of a long list. But I was frankly surprised at how many of our close allies were on that list, actually.
I was sitting here and I'm like, wait a minute. Really?
Yeah, like Israel, the UK, Canada, Australia, Ireland, New Zealand, South Korea, Germany, France. I mean, some very close allies of the US actually
And what
were
are
on that
your
list.
thoughts on this?
Um, I mean,
Oh, you
we're
don't
gonna
have to
we're gonna
say.
quickly wander into political territory here, but
Of
um,
course.
I mean, on the one hand, if it actually achieves, favorable tax treaties with these countries for U.S. businesses and U.S. investors, then that would be a net positive. Um, on the other hand, countries do benefit from foreign investment, right? I mean, you have wealth that exists elsewhere in the world that comes into your country. That's a net positive. That's something that you do want more of, ideally.
Right.
Um, so, I mean, how will this shake out? Will we actually be able to get better tax treaties with some of these countries because of this? It's hard for.
Or will they get even more pissed off?
Well, right, that's a possibility too. So, I don't know. I don't claim to be an expert on foreign trade or tax treaty negotiations with other countries. It feels a little bit like shooting yourself in the foot. We're cutting off your nose to spite your face. If we're gonna pick our favorite cliches. But what do I know? So, Denny, any thoughts on your end about this last one?
I will just say I don't necessarily agree with it and leave it there.
Fair enough. And again, we're not a politics show, nor are we an international trade show. So we're gonna stay in our lane with real estate investing. But yeah, we do have some foreign investors in the co-investing club who do invest in real estate, U.S. real estate, as members of the co-investing club. I myself, I'm an American. You could probably tell from my voice or my accent, but I did live as an expat for 10 years. I literally just last week, I moved back to the U.S. But it was really nice to be able to invest in U.S. real estate from
and you're
anywhere in
not
the
on
world.
this list.
Yeah, they don't have Brian Davis listed as as his own country on there. But guys, if you got a fresh perspective out of this episode, if you found some value in it, then please subscribe to the show and pass it on to friends, family members, colleagues, your second cousins, neighbor, twice removed. And if you didn't get any value out of this show and you're still listening, well, then hats off to you. But email us, support@sparkrental.com. Let us know what you want to hear more of moving forward. And lastly, consider joining us in the Co-Investing Club. We meet every single month. We vet new passive real estate deals together as an investment club. We go in on them together. And it's a lot of fun. It's a great way to invest.
Really is. And a great way to learn from other people because there's so many of us and everybody has different experience.
Yeah, Denny, you and I always say that people come to the club for the low minimum investment, but they stick around for the group vetting of investments together.
I agree.
And lastly, we have a free course on how passive real estate investing works if you're not familiar with it. So check out sparkrental.com/free. It's an 8-video course. Each one is like 5 to 10 minutes long. They're super snackable. And we keep it really fun and light with lots of 90s pop culture references. So on that note, stay weird, unconventional investor.
See you later.